Hi, fashion dolls. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our new episode of Style by Stevie. It is Motivation Monday, February 21st. And joining me today, we have an Emmy Award winning newscaster and actor. He's known for his hit roles on shows such as Passions and also The Daily Buzz and Four of Hearts. Welcoming and joining us today, we have Charles Divins, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm super excited for this interview. Hey, Blue. Shout outs to my girl, Blue Harmony. Make sure you guys please go and check out her music. Beautiful, talented, representing the Philly area. Let me send this live to Charles so that we can get this interview started, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited, y'all. Oh my God, my heart is beating so fast. Like, it's a dream. It's literally a dream come true. And I hope you guys are enjoying your Monday today. Yes, I went blonde, guys. I decided to do something a little different. Blonde. I did a PK on Bigo yesterday, so I enjoyed that. But, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, our very special guest is here in the dollhouse, Mr. Charles Divins. Thank you.
Hey, hey, hey.
Welcome, welcome. It is such an honor to have you here. Welcome to the dollhouse.
Thanks for having me at the Dollhouse. What's going on? Happy
Yes,
Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a blessed Monday.
it is such a pleasure to have you here. I'm so honored.
Mm.
Like you and Kiko Ellsworth, Shamar Moore, I would literally, when I was in high school, I would have pictures of you guys all in my locker. So I would be remiss if I didn't show this picture right here. This is from Sophisticate's Black Hair, and this is August 2005. And this is
Woo!
when Will Smith released Hitch. So you know who sings one thing, and it's the beautiful A. Marie. But I was flipping through the pages and
Mm.
I found this person on
Oh,
this
who is
page right
that? Look at
here.
that. Look at that
Yes.
man with all that hair on his head back in the old days. You brought it back. Love it. Love it. Yeah, it's good times,
Yes.
man. It was a good time in life for sure.
Yes. So what runs through your mind when you look at this picture? Because this is around the time you did Passions. Because when I
Yeah.
announced that you were coming on my platform, everybody was like, oh my God, that's him from
That's
Passions.
right.
So what was running through your mind when you saw this picture right here?
Oh, it just brought me back, Los Angeles, early 2000s, on Passions on NBC, back in the day before Instagram Live and the internet was really popping off. We were everybody's kind of daytime go-to, at 11 o'clock every morning, people would tune us in, and it was just it was a slower pace, and you had less options to choose from. You weren't fighting for attention. We were that moment of release for everybody, and it was a good time. I got to tell you, it was a blast. I had a great cast, had a great time. We loved what we did every day. We did some crazy stuff, which was fun too. But yeah, it was 7 years of my life out there on Passion. So
Yes. So tell us how the journey for Charles Divins began. How did the world get introduced to Charles Divins? Like, what was
uh,
it like? Because you grew up in Dallas,
yeah,
Texas, am I correct?
yeah, Dallas, Texas. Was in Dallas. Uh, Started modeling in Dallas. Had an opportunity to travel to South Africa and really changed my life. Spent a year out there and kind of readjusted what, the opportunities were for me. Back in the day, again, not having access to, what the entertainment industry was back then. It was all new and we were all kind of figuring out as we went. And, from there, I decided to give it a full, stride ahead and move to New York and, studied acting and kept on working, doing commercials. And that's when I landed the job in LA on Passion. So it was my very first, second audition. So I got real lucky. Second audition, I auditioned for Young and the Restless first. Shamar was on Young and the Restless. He was actually leaving, and they were looking for his replacement back then. And I auditioned for that spot. I was too young for casting then, and they had a spot open at Passions. They sent me over there, and I tested and got the job and moved from New York to LA. And you know, that was the beginning of it all. That was the beginning of my introduction to, Charles Divins on a national stage. You probably had seen me in commercials before. I was doing like, Pepsi commercials and car commercials and stuff like that. But as far as like, this is Charles Divins as an actor on screen, that was the first big jump off for me for sure.
Okay, okay. So I asked a lot of actors
Hmm.
and journalists this question. What did Mama say when she seen her baby Charles on TV?
Oh man, what didn't she say? I mean, she was saying as much as she could to all the people that she knew. My mom, Renee, was proud of me. I'm a mama's boy, so we're in contact. I talked to her like a few minutes ago. Yeah, just pride. Pride that she always instilled in me was take the opportunities as they come. Never let an opportunity pass you by, and she was always very supportive. Which I was very lucky to have parents that were like, if that's what you want to do, do it, but do it well and do it strong and don't look back. And, the fact that that was instilled in me and then the success came from that, I think was a big sense of pride for her, for sure. So she still watches me every single day, to this day.
Good support
Yeah.
system. Now, you've done Passions for about 2002 to 2007. Going into this role as Chad Harris Crane, what was it like for you? What was the experience like for you being on set of Passions, this big soap opera? Because, I mean, you had General Hospital, you had All My
Yeah.
Children, you had As the World Turns, you had The Young and the Restless, as you mentioned. There's so many.
Yeah.
And Passions. What was it like for you being on set? What was running through your mind? Like, did you ever get that feeling like, wow, this is so unreal? Like, I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm on set for a soap opera.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I, stepped off the plane and started working, I went into a world of, there are 200 people that work on these soaps, right? The 200 people who are at the top of their game as far as, production and set design and our directors and, just the amount of energy and money and focus that went into a network soap back then, like you said, there was 10 of them at the time, and we were the only game in town at 11 o'clock. And, it was, it was fun. It was exciting. It was scary, but as the years went by, it became a family. It became, just, you woke up every day, you were excited. The days were long. We were working those 16, 20-hour days, shooting 8 episodes a week. The work was real. But I mean, we had a blast, man. I mean, it was like we were all young. We were all like, most of us, it was like our first big job. So we all had that growth at the time too, so we all were pushing each other's success forward and just playing off each other. Yeah, it was as scary as it was to start. At the end, it was heartbreaking for it to end. And, it was some of the best times of my life.
And now, speaking of career transitions, because you
Yeah.
went from acting to now being a news anchor,
Yeah.
an Emmy award-winning news anchor. So what was it like for you now transitioning into New Orleans, WD, and then you also do for Texas as well too.
Yeah.
And then you did also The Daily Buzz, which was
Look
one
at
of my favorite shows
you
as
did
well.
your homework. Look at you now. Yeah. I
Yes,
know.
I had to
No.
come through for this interview. I said my high school crush that I've had pictures of in my locker. Oh yes,
Okay.
I have to make sure that I do my research.
No,
So
yeah. I mean, I made the transition, from acting to, the live part of it. Again, it was like one of those things where, being introduced to the world as people know me as Chad, right? Chad Harris Crane from Passions, or whoever, Lorenzo from Half and Half, or wherever you, first knew who I was. It was always a character name, and for me, acting is storytelling. And at some point, I wanted to be Charles Divins, the storyteller, not Chad Harris Crane. So how do you do that? You go into, journalism, live TV. And the live TV is like being on stage every day. You're on TV for 4 hours live, and it's like you're performing a play every single day, and there was an excitement to that for me. So I transitioned. It was a hard transition because obviously that's not a normal career path, actor to journalist, right? It's not a normal thing to do. So you had to work hard. You had to prove yourself. I had to prove myself every single day, find value in these shows that I worked on, and definitely a different game, like smaller crews, smaller cast. I went from 200 people at the top of their game to, there's 5 of us in the morning writing these shows, at 1:30 in the morning, grinding it out to get on the show, get on the air for 4 o'clock, 4:30. It was definitely different, but the stories we told were real people. You know what I mean? That's what every story, every movie, every TV show, every music video for that matter is based around stories. Every song is based around stories from real people. And that's the core of storytelling is news and journalism and, what happens to people, good, bad, or ugly. And there's an excitement to that every single day.
And Charles, to add on to that point, when I'm doing my platform, because I cover topics here as well too, is fashion and beauty
Yeah.
and pop culture, what goes on in the world. I definitely can understand that. And I told my guests this, if they're viewing, I told them the audience, the guest gets to know the truth. The guest gets to hear what we think,
Yeah.
our opinions. And sometimes they're just like, well, wow, she's saying, because I also have co-hosts as well
Yeah.
too. I have two male co-hosts. I'm the only female. And I said, everybody deserves to hear their point of view and their perspective. If you're going to do a platform with journalism and a talk show, you have to make sure that everybody's voice is being told.
Mm.
Sometimes people are not comfortable with telling their story, but they're comfortable with us telling the story for them. And they're just like, wow, it'll kind of make them come out of their shell just a little bit. And I'm pretty sure you get messages from viewers saying, wow, this story is close and dear to me.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I mean that's I mean we get I mean those are the kind of we like to see. You know, these the stories that we tell, we give people, you know, it's kind of a cliche, but we give people a voice that didn't have a voice, right? When you're going through something and you know you think you're alone and you just, you know, everyday human stories are what we tell. And when you put it out there and you produce it and you give some insight and some context, like you and your co-host, I have my co-host, and you know we tell the story, but we also add whatever context into what the world's going through, you know. And you know, whether you're going through that same situation or not, you can identify with it, right? Those are your neighbors, those are your family, those are your friends, those are your people. And whenever I get responses that are positive, or like, hey, I didn't know that was happening, or that's something that I should have known, or I've gone through the same thing, or my
Mm-hmm.
brother's gone through the same thing. I mean, that's what it's all about, you know, really affecting people's lives, you know. So it is special. And the fact that we get to do that every day in a different subject every single day, and you know, 50 stories in a day is a gift for sure.
Absolutely, 100%. Shout outs to my brother K2X85. Make sure you guys please go and
Oh,
subscribe to his YouTube channel.
hey
The
everybody.
K2 Spot, an amazing platform,
Uh,
almost similar to Style by Stevie, but he doesn't really do fashion. He
okay.
does interviews. He's had some amazing guests on his show.
Yeah.
So please definitely go and check it out and
Yeah,
support.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
100%.
I mean, I love the access that you have, and that you can create and share voice, and have, you know, have an audience that is all about what you're about, and they're on board for you. You know, it's like your little family. I love that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's such an honor coming from you. That I literally, because I interviewed one of your colleagues, I interviewed Kiko, and
Uh-huh.
I looked into those green eyes and I almost melted when I did it. I almost melted when I did the
He's
interview.
got those eyes, man. You know, he's got those eyes. He's working them, man, for sure, for sure.
Yes, and I had to keep my composure. I had to try not to fangirl out. That journalist and integrity. When you're on set, you go boom right into character.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you've given advice to actors and
Mhm.
people who've wanted to get into Broadway or doing what you did. You know, soaps. What was some of the best advice that you received along the way with getting into acting?
I mean, the biggest thing is surround yourself with people who are on your same mission, on your same goal. You know, the people that want to shine light on you. You know, because you're going to need those people. Because you know the thing about acting or any of these this industry, that when you're in front of the camera, you know, you get told no more than you'll ever get told yes. You know, and it would be for so many different reasons. But the more you can know that you belong there, and that you have purpose, and that you're going to fight for it, and that you have that support system around you, that's the only way to make it. You know, because it'll beat you down. It'll make you feel lesser. It'll make you think you're making a mistake. And I mean, you hear it all the time. I mean, there's no such thing as an overnight success. You know, people grind it out. They make sacrifices, and they know that, you know, it is what the purpose is going to be and what they're going to find purpose in. So I mean, just surround yourself with a family that's going to support you in the good times and the bad times. That's the biggest piece of advice I have.
100%.
You know.
100%. And I'm glad that you said the power of no, because I was watching, it was TED Talks
Mm,
just the other day, and it was, I think his name is Dennis. He was talking about how he went into a meeting and he presented a business offer, and the offer was on the table. And the people who were executives ahead of the company, they didn't like his business offer. They said, no, we're not going to do it, or
mm,
no, not at this time. And he says, you know, you have to be persistent with it. Keep going and have perseverance and faith. I've had doors closed in my face, and I've just kept going. And I think that's that Scorpio mentality for
yeah,
me, to just have the
yeah,
passion
yeah.
to keep going and follow whatever my heart desires. My mom is a Libra. So everything that she has taught me along the way on this business, getting into the business and slowly but surely coming up in this business,
Mm.
is make sure that you stay level headed. And I'm glad that you've mentioned family support, because you're also not just an amazing actor, an amazing news anchor, but you're also a family man. You're a dad.
Man,
So
big
my
dad.
question for you is, how do you find that balance, like with family time? Because I
Uh,
know it's crazy with this pandemic going on, and you happen to be on the news set and things like that. Like, how do you find the balance with, okay, Charles the dad versus Charles the news anchor?
I think, here's the thing. I mean, if you do it right and you live in both, I mean, there's no balance. That is who you are. I'm that person when I'm on TV and when I come home to my son. I mean, that's who I am. I think that is being authentic. You hear about people talking about, authenticity is a big thing, right? I want to know you're a real person. Want to know who you are. And I think if you don't try to shy away from it and you lean into it, I think, find that balance is natural. I'm gonna get off this interview. I'm gonna go pick my son up and from daycare and continue my day as dad. And that's just, without missing a beat. It's just part of it. And it brings me joy and purpose. I never knew he's 3 years old. I never knew um, that would change me as much as it has. But being a father is everything. It is who I am now. You know, so finding a balance isn't an issue. It's more of it's just more time, finding time. you know, time to sleep first of all because I work so early, but just finding time to be present every single day, and I really fight hard for that.
Absolutely, 100%. So we're not going to keep Charles long, Fashion Dolls. We're just going to jump right into these two games, and then we're
Oh, we
going to
got
take some
games. All right.
questions. Yes,
Okay,
and
good.
then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
The first one is called the Rapid Five, and you
Mhm.
have to tell us five things that you can't live without. And the next one is called Turn the Tables. And this is where my new viewers and my guests get to ask me questions, uncensored and unfiltered, as many as they want to.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with the Rapid Five.
Uh,
What are five things that Charles can't do without?
five things that Charles can't do without. We're on one. My phone. I mean, my window to the world. Sorry to say that. Cookies. I'm a cookie monster. Love cookies. Uh, my son. My little Leo.
Oh,
I can't do without that. And time to myself. Can't do without a moment for me to reset, whether it be running or just having a moment to think. And last but not least, what else can I do without? I can't do without. Um, hmm, hmm. Rapid fire. I'm not playing this game very well. I can't do without you and your audience and the people that celebrate the success of people that put themselves out there every day.
this is
That's my
such an
five.
honor for me. Boom. Thank you. And those are the Rapid Five. My heart is beating fast for this next one.
All right, all right.
All right, Fashion Dolls. It is time to turn those tables. So Charles gets to ask me questions, and the audience will get to know a little bit more about me. So you get to ask as many questions as you want to, and I have to answer them.
All right.
So,
Okay. First question. What's your greatest fear?
my creative spirit. I
No, no,
love
no.
being in
Sorry.
the element.
Your greatest fear.
My greatest fear. Okay, my greatest fear would have to be losing, because I've always been an overachiever.
Mhm.
Ever since my days in high school, ever since throughout my childhood, I would always try to be, you know, a great student, a great child, a great sibling. I would always try to put so much pressure on myself to be what everyone else wanted me to be, but not true to myself within my heart, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So now with me doing that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful and I'm blessed to still to be here at 28 years of life as a young woman who's experienced it all. Yeah.
Well, you're not failing. You're winning. So there you go. Conquer that fear. And I'll, if you could have dinner with anyone in history, who would that be?
Wow. It would, someone who's passed on or someone who's
It
alive.
could be someone currently alive or someone who has passed on. Who would you like to spend that time if you could have anybody a chance to talk and just you and that person and have dinner and just pick their brain? Who would it be?
I would have to say Taraji P.
Okay.
Taraji P. Henson. And I say her because our personalities are so much alike. She's bubbly. She likes to have a good time. I'm bubbly. I like to have a good time on the show and outside of the show, as
Mm.
you guys can see. I'm always doing something, playing pranks on somebody or doing something. So, yes, Miss T was not such an innocent girl. So, but I would definitely have to say Taraji P. Henson because I love her energy and I feel as though we both would feed off of that. So, yeah.
Okay. And I got one more for you. So I will, last one. What's the one thing, one item that you value most?
My mom, my mom, and I'm thankful that that is my superwoman. That is my rock. When I tell you that she's been through all the trials and tribulations that I've been through in my life, and she's seen it, witnessed it, and given me advice along the way. And I'm pretty sure everybody would say that. That's one thing. For me, it's not about material things. I could have easily said, okay, makeup. I could have said my phone. I could have said
Mm,
all of those things. But my mom, because I would not be here if it wasn't for her. I would not have the success that I've had if it wasn't for her giving me the advice and doing what a mom is supposed to do, and that's nurture and care. So everything that she's taught me along the way, I'm thankful to have her here because a lot of people have lost their family members. And
yeah,
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
you've covered stories like that,
No,
about the numbers going up. And y'all know I'm talking about that when I'm talking about
hmm.
that. But it's difficult to lose a family member or a sibling.
Yeah,
So I'm thankful to have her here. Her, my mom, my dad, my relatives, just family around me surrounded with love. So that's big. That can replace any price
hmm.
tag on any Birkin bag, like Cardi B would say, or makeup or anything. That
Yeah.
is the biggest gift in the world for me. So that would be family.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. I think that's the perfect way to leave that little game, the game of life. Nice.
that's right. All right. Fashion dolls, do we have any questions for Mr. Charles before we conclude? And my last one for you is, what advice would you give to anyone who's looking to get into the field of news or acting?
Yeah. Find find what it is you love about that, why you want to get into it. Find the why, and then find people who are doing and uh, presenting the why to you. You know what I mean? Find like the archetype. I want to be, if you want to be Oprah, then say Oprah's that person, and then find the why, and then figure out why she got into the game, and that'll show you the path to be on. In journalism, it's about stories, depending on the type of stories you want to tell. Find that person who is telling the stories that you want to tell, and then figure out where they came from. Reach out to them. I mean, really, you need to have a kind of a roadmap and a person. That way, when you do meet people, you're clear about what you want from the business, whether it's be acting or journalism. Because you'll run into people and people will say, "Hey, what do you want to do? Who do you think you are? What are you trying to do?" If you can answer that question purely and with some context to these people, they'll give you the key to get you where you need to go. At least start. But don't be afraid to ask. Surround go knock on doors, go to conferences, go to, if you want to be an actor, go to screenings, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like you have these screenings that are free, a lot of these festivals and all around the country, and the filmmakers are there, the actors are there. They give the Q&As at the end of the screenings. But you know what? After the Q&As, they're in the audience and they want to hear from you. They want to answer your
Yes.
questions. The people that the good ones do, you know. And just good luck. I mean, but that's the way is just to find out what the path was for the people that you admire or you want to emulate, um, and deconstruct where they came from. You know, like I said, Oprah was an intern somewhere at some point. Gail King used to work in Connecticut as an intern at the, a little local station. That's if that's what it needs to be. Call that station up. Say, hey, how do I get in the game? You know, people are willing to help. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. We got a question from
Yes.
Daniel. Daniel wants to know what story that you've covered that has changed your perspective on things.
Oh, that's a good one. Uh, my perspective, I tell you, when I worked in New Orleans, I was in New Orleans for 6 years. And, I mean, everybody knows New Orleans is, Mardi Gras, and also it's the third
Mm-hmm.
world, and it's Katrina, and it's, you know, um, the the story and the stories we tell in New Orleans are about the disparities between have and have-nots, and that it's amplified there. So when you see people who have nothing, and again, these story, there's not one story; it's a continual story of everybody trying to fix what's broken, right? And it just really changed my perspective on what matters and what people go through. And you know, when you hear stories about whether it be crime or now we're talking about evictions and rent. Like here's the thing: you hear, oh, property values going up and rent, is so high,
Yes.
and blah blah blah. And you hear these stories, and you're like, yeah, my rent, paying money. I got. When you talk about people, when you do stories about people who lose everything because of a $100 increase, and that's the one thing that broke them and put them on the streets, and now they're homeless. You know, when you see that, it puts it really in perspective on how on the edge we are, and how much we need to fix what's wrong and give a helping hand to our neighbor. I think I mean, that's a pretty general. I hope that answers your question a little bit, but there wasn't one story. It's just my 6 years in New Orleans really changed my whole like outlook on everything, really. Um, yeah.
Any more questions before we wrap up, Fashion Dolls?
And gumbo
This
too.
was
I
such
see
a good.
gumbo in there. uh,
Yes, I was thinking that when I think of New Orleans, I think of spicy foods. I think of the spices. I think of different things like
yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
Pralines and gumbo and crawfish and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. I mean, I'm in Texas now, but I do miss that every day. And right now in New Orleans, it's going off. It's Mardi Gras. It's like all the pictures and all my friends doing their thing. It's like it's alive. New Orleans is a city, but it's a culture. It's a passion. It's a heart. My son was born there. I always have passion for New Orleans for sure. But anyway,
All right. Daniel's got another question. He wants to know, can you cook?
yes, yes, man. Would I be in it? Yeah, I could cook, man. I can cook. If my wife doesn't kick me out of the kitchen, I definitely try to get in there and do my thing.
All right, Fashion Dolls, any
All right.
last questions before we conclude this interview? We're going
Uh,
to wait. It was such a pleasure
yeah.
having you here, Charles. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you and good luck and keep doing what you're doing. Keep climbing, keep grinding. I'm sure everybody watching is, on your side supporting. So thank you.
Definitely. Let everyone know where they can follow you and they can check out the show.
Spectrum News, if you're a Spectrum News customer, you can catch it every morning from 4 to 11. We're on all day long. And then right here on IG, CDLA at CDLA. Follow me.
All right, Fashion Dolls, thank you so much for tuning in. Tomorrow we have Karash Jordan, Marcos Lewis, and we have Handsome Tay will be joining us tomorrow. Take care, Fashion Dolls. You guys, please be safe. And special thanks to the one and only Mr. Charles Diven. It was such a dream come true.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Take care.